You'll have to excuse the bleary eyes, but we're up at Sparrow's Fart for a somewhat unorthodox test of what is arguably the year's most highly anticipated car. This is the BMW M2, and we're not only going to take it on roads that are some of the best in Australia, but they're also closed. It's Good Morning Tasmania, and hello Targa.
Targa Tasmania is one of the world's best tarmac rallies, an event in which even legendary motorsport knights such as Sir Stirling Moss and Sir Jack Brabham have jousted for glory. We're not here to test ourselves against the stopwatch, of course. Instead, we're taking part in the second half of the rally in the non-competitive Tour category, with a single aim of finding out just how good the new M2 really is. So no roll cages, no crash hats, and a 130 km/h maximum speed. But if you know Tasmanian roads, you'll know that limit is plenty fast enough for the island state's vast network of tortuously challenging bitumen. The M2 certainly looks the part, even without its official rally stickers and fancy decals that mark BMW's 100th anniversary. All muscular and squat like a British bulldog, the stance of the flagship 2 Series Coupe is helped by front and rear tracks that had to be widened noticeably over the M235i to accommodate the bigger M4's aluminium suspension. It doesn't get the M4's adaptive dampers, but the M2's ride handling balance harks back to cars such as the E46 330ci, which demonstrated BMW engineers' brilliance with a single suspension tune. It's a really nice sweet spot between stiffness and suppleness. But does it handle? Absolutely. And of course you probably want a comparison with the bigger coupe, the M4. I've got to say, on these tight, twisting, challenging and gnarly surfaces of Targa Tasmania, you feel that the M2 is far more unflustered than what you'd experience in the M4, which gets a little bit twitchy on the limit. You start thinking about self-preservation. The front end's response to steering wheel inputs is really sensational. Really sharp front end, darty, but without being nervy. And the steering feel, well, it's more communicative than any other steering rack in the BMW lineup, and really fluid, which is one way of summing up the whole M2 experience. The only time the M2's flow is interrupted is if sport mode is engaged for the tightest of tight corners, such as the famous 99 bends of the Queenstown stage. It's here where Sport Plus mode is essential. It minimises stability control intrusion and allows the driver to work with the M2's electronic rear diff to better manage getting power to the ground. And if we were to be ultra-critical, the M2 is hardly light of weight when compared with revered ancestors such as the 2002 Turbo or original E30 M3. With a driver on board, it hits the scales at nearly 1.6 tonnes. To ensure there's no tardiness on the performance front though, 272 kilowatts and up to 500 Newton meters are delivered by a ramped up version of the M235i's 3-litre single-turbo straight-six.
As with all current M-car engines, of course, turbocharging means that expansive torque is the main game, rather than high rev thrills. But this is still an inline 6-cylinder that loves to be revved out. That's pretty sweet. Of course, the key to performance with the M2 is shifting up early and delving into a mid-range that is as bulging as the M2's bodywork. And if you want an idea of its in-gear flexibility, 80 to 120 km/h bypasses in 4.4 seconds in 5th gear.
And there are two great choices for changing gears: a 6-speed manual that is satisfyingly hefty and precise, or a 7-speed dual-clutch auto that brings the quickest shifts via paddles. Access to the auto requires an extra $10,000 though. That also brings additions such as electric seats and a Harman Kardon audio system, but it does mean the cheapest M-car is anything but cheap at 100 grand. Transport stages give us time to think about some other little gripes, such as the limited rear seat space and cabin materials that don't always feel of the utmost quality. But then we're back onto the final stages and quickly remembering everything that's right about this car.
We finally reached Targa's finishing point in Hobart after 3 days and 19 stages of awesome roads, which has given us a definitive verdict on the new BMW M2, and it hasn't really changed since that first stage back up in Stanley. The smallest and cheapest N car, at least for now, is also the greatest.